Aid organizations attribute mass starvation to Israel's restrictions on Gaza. In addition to calls for Israel to lift restrictions on humanitarian aid to the besieged enclave, more than 100 aid agencies and rights groups, including Save the Children and Doctors Without Borders, issued a warning on Wednesday that mass starvation was spreading throughout Gaza. The most recent effort to raise awareness of the growing hunger crisis in Gaza is the joint statement. The European Union and at least 28 governments, including Israel's allies Canada, Britain, and France, condemned the drip-feeding of aid on Monday and stated that civilian suffering had reached new depths. Doctors Without Borders in Gaza has reported a sharp and unprecedented rise in acute malnutrition. The aid organization stated in their statement that adults frequently pass out from hunger and that food and other supplies stored outside the territory were not reaching those in need. The health ministry in Gaza reported on Wednesday that hospitals had recorded 10 famine or malnutrition-related deaths within the previous 24 hours, bringing the total number of hunger-related deaths since Saturday to 43. The ministry did not provide any specifics, and there was no independent confirmation of the toll. According to health professionals, acutely hungry patients frequently die from other causes, such as diarrhea or viral infections, that their bodies are unable to combat. As a result, deaths from malnutrition are frequently undercounted. This week, the World Food Programme of the United Nations reported that nearly a third of the 2.1 million people living in Gaza had stopped eating for multiple days. In a statement, it stated, "People are dying for lack of humanitarian assistance." After it ended a ceasefire with Hamas in March, Israel blocked aid deliveries. Since then, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, a private Israeli-backed group, has managed a new system in which people go to a few distribution sites to obtain aid. The new system, according to the government, is intended to stop Hamas from stealing aid, and the sites are in Israeli-controlled areas of Gaza. Violence, however, has marred the new system almost daily. The United Nations said last week that more than 670 people had been killed near the new aid sites, many as a result of gunfire, and that hundreds of others had been injured. Aid groups claim that one result has been the deterrence of some individuals from approaching the locations, which in turn has exacerbated hunger. Israel's foreign ministry stated on Wednesday that the aid groups were echoing Hamas's talking points and denied the claims made by the groups. Israel has also blamed the United Nations for failing to distribute supplies that are already in Gaza. Nearly 4,500 aid trucks carrying flour, 2,500 tons of baby food, and high-calorie food for children had recently entered the territory, according to Kogat, the Israeli government agency that oversees policy in Gaza and the West Bank. According to the United Nations, it is frequently impossible to deliver food to Gaza due to the insecurity and restrictions imposed by the Israeli military. Around 500 trucks of aid and commercial supplies were delivered to Gaza each day before the war, it said, but that number plummeted after the conflict started and has dropped even further since the ceasefire collapsed. Given that aid to Gaza increased during the previous ceasefire, the Trump administration has argued that securing a new one is its top priority right now. A State Department spokeswoman, Tammy Bruce, informed reporters on Tuesday that the administration's envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, was scheduled to visit the region this week for war talks. Mr. Witkoff wanted to achieve a ceasefire and a humanitarian corridor for aid to flow, she added. The aid organizations were hindering the chances of a new ceasefire to halt the war, which began when Hamas launched a deadly raid on Israel in October, according to Israel's foreign ministry. 2023. These organizations are serving the propaganda of Hamas, using their numbers, justifying their horrors, instead of challenging the terror organization, it said in a statement on social media. The groups that signed the statement, which also included CARE, Christian Aid and Amnesty International, said the UN-led system that had previously handled aid to Gaza had worked but that it was prevented from functioning. They said that only 28 trucks of aid were now being distributed in Gaza each day. The groups added that their workers in Gaza, whose job is to provide support to civilians, were so hungry that they were now risking their own lives by joining food lines. Civilians in Gaza said the lack of food had become critical. According to 48-year-old Aid Abu Qatar, His 17-year-old son Atef had been hospitalized for 15